Nuisance flooding is defined by Maryland Annotated Code, and it's high tide flooding that causes public inconvenience. Typically, you'll see nuisance flooding where the road was previously dry, and on high tide, there's flooding that goes over the road, which causes an impact to getting around the county. Urban flooding is flooding that occurs in an urban setting due to impervious surface, and that usually occurs whenever there are major rainfall events. And in some places, we have stormwater management systems that are older and aren't built to be able to withstand the current capacity of rainfall events that we experience in the county. Typically, we're beginning to experience different types of rainfall events that are affecting outside of our normally mapped floodplain areas in the county. And it has a significant impact upon businesses and residents because it's costly. And if you live outside of a floodplain, you're technically not required to maintain flood insurance on your home. So if you get flooded in that area, you have a huge expense that isn't covered by insurance. So it has an economic impact as well. Flooding causes emergencies, particularly when people see water on the roadway and they think it's okay to just drive through it. There's a huge campaign with National Weather Service, and it's called Turn Around, Don't Drown. If you see water over the roadway, turn around, don't drown, because less than 6 inches of water can displace a vehicle and push it down the road. The county is currently participating in a process where we've brought in a broad group of stakeholders to try to address different flooding events around the county, from nuisance flooding as well as urban flooding. And we're working through developing this plan, and we are looking to get some public input into that in the near future. We've established an email address for Charles County residents to report any type of flooding that they experience. That email address is flooding@charlescountymd.gov. For more information, please go to the Charles County Government website. Thank you all for watching, and stay safe.
The regulations and rules for keeping pets in Charles County actually go beyond Charles County. There are also state laws that apply to maintaining and keeping pets or livestock in the county. But to get more specific, down into the county we have regulations. Those regulations are vast. They cover everything from owning the animal, caring for the animal, and what responsibilities you have as a pet owner. But some of the key ones are, you can't allow your dog to run at large, or your horse, or your cow, or your cat, whatever the case is. Animals in Charles County need to be on a leash if they're off your property. If they're on your property, of course, there's no problem. They don't need to be on a leash as long as they stay there. So if you're going to the hiker-biker trail or something like that, even though some dogs are well trained, they do well as far as off leash, it's still required to have that animal on the leash. You never know what kind of wild animal or other kind of animal. It's not always your animal that creates the problem that gets you in trouble. It's sometimes somebody else's pet that's running at large that comes up and takes a bite of yours. If your animal does get into an altercation with another animal or a person, it's going to be put in quarantine. And if that happens at a place like a dog park, most people don't have that information with them, so we've got to run that down later. The easiest thing is just to take a picture of your rabies vaccination certificate with your phone, and then you can show it's with you all the time, and you can show that information. That verifies the animal does have a current rabies vaccination. But to go back to the at-large, basically, whenever your dog's off your property, it needs to be on a leash. You can't have your dog be a public nuisance, and some of the public nuisance are barking, making excessive noises. So if you have an animal that barks at the neighbors when they go out to cut the grass, be kind, bring your animal in while they're cutting their grass, or when they're having guests over. It's just a matter of being good pet neighbors. Another important one in Charles County, we're one of the counties that do regulate tethering. Tethering, you cannot tether your animal outside for more than 4 hours in a 24-hour period. So the days of chaining the dog out to the doghouse in the backyard are over in Charles County. This time of the year is very important to make sure you have shade for your outside dogs. If they're maintained outside, or just go outside for a half an hour to go to the bathroom, you still need to make sure they have shade out there. And this time of the year, make sure they have water also. Heat stroke is an issue. It's not just in your yard, it's also in your car, or just taking your dog for a walk. A lot of people these days are very close to their pets. They take their dogs with them pretty much everywhere as they go. Just remember that if it's 90 degrees outside, that asphalt's probably running around 130 degrees, and it will burn the pads of your pet's feet. So you need to be cautious of that. Those are probably the key things. We do have frequently asked questions and the regulations online at charlescountymd.gov. We also have handouts, and the handouts are in English and in Spanish. So we've got the regulations and the FAQs in both languages that are available. Pet licensing is required. It's required both by the county and by the state, and it actually goes way back to the days that animals were allowed to roam, and if your dog didn't have a tag on it, the dog catcher back then could actually shoot it if it was running large in the neighborhood. But the main purpose of the licensing is to get your dog back home, or your cat back home, if it gets lost, if it gets separated. It's also a way to verify that that animal has a current rabies vaccination, because you have to have a current rabies vaccination in order to license the animal. Rabies vaccinations are very important. Rabies is prevalent in our county. We have it, it's here, it's never going away. It's in our wildlife population, and every year we do have some domestics that come down with it. So it's very important to keep your dog vaccinated and up to date. As far as licensing is concerned, we do require licensing for dogs and cats 4 months and older. That tag number is very important. It's important to have the tag on the animal, because if it does get lost, separated during a storm, fireworks, whatever the case may be, we can get that animal back to you. Just by running that tag number, we'll find out your information and give you a call and reunite you. Another good thing nowadays to do, it's not required, but it's very strongly recommended, is microchipping. That way, if the tag does become lost, that chip is still in there. Every animal that comes into our shelter facility is scanned. We run that trace back through and contact the owner and have them come pick the animal up. The less time that we have the animal in our custody, the better off for the animal and the better off for everybody. So we want to get that animal back to its owner as soon as possible. On our website, we have a downloadable form. You can fill it out, copy the rabies vaccination, mail it in to us with a check, and we'll mail your license back to you. You really don't have to go anywhere, or you can go to the treasurer's office, you can come to the animal shelter, you can come to the emergency services building. There's vets in the area, the Plata Vet, Mid-County Vet, the Humane Society. There's a host of different places, and they're all listed on our website also.
Applying for jobs with Charles County government is now easier and more efficient. Visit www.charlescountymd.gov for more information.